on without being knocked off. Asking if anybody would like to co-host today. Gotta get 4 more of these. I guess it would help if I spelled it right, huh? Alexa, what time is it? There you go. Just a note to everybody. Now let's see if we can stay online for a change today. We keep getting knocked up. Which doesn't do us any good. Certainly not going to be able to do anybody any good as far as getting anything accomplished if I just keep getting knocked off. And Alexa is just plain not cooperating at all. At least back Alexa. I'm going to go get front Alexa. Hold on. Hey, stand by. Back Alexa's not working. I'm going to go get front Alexa. I want my Alexa today. 2 secs. Alright. We're going to see if new Alexa is giving us as hard a time as old Alexa. I've even tried to reboot old Alexa today without any success. Alright. There you go. Let's see what happens. Old Alexa, new Alexa. Echo, if you will. Hope you're having a good day there, Unicorn. Happy Friday. This will tell me if it's my ISP. Yeah, because I've already rebooted my router. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 8:50 a.m.
Alexa, flash briefing.
Here's your flash briefing.
Yeah, see?
In things to try.
New Alexa's fine.
Love listening to podcasts.
Alexa, stop. Cool. Alright, at least I'm back up there anyway. Anyhow, let me know if you have anything you want to ask today there. Hit me up. You want to co-host? You want to share any opinions? I'm about ready to get into a rant about our wonderful orange clown in the White House and his idea to arm teachers in schools. Mental midget. Yeah, I called our president a mental midget, and I'll call him a mental midget again. Because he is. He's a menace. Tough part about not having a studio engineer is you have to do all this yourself. Back in the day, Used to do a bit of radio, TV, been a while ago. Voiceovers, those are a lot of fun. There we go. Alright, I think we're golden. I need to get some stretching done because in a little while, I gotta go do my miles. You have any kind of exercise program or regime that you do? How about this? Do you know what your BMI is? Hey, I'm a personal trainer and health coach. You've got me all to yourself right now, so you can pretty much ask any question you want. Most folks pay $35 to $50 an hour for this. My give back this year. I like being on this platform. All the millennials and the Gen Zs on here. I want to make sure you guys are living to 100 plus. Healthy, happy, productive. I had to recharge my jawbone, my up 4. This tracks everything, literally everything. Heart rate, sleep, miles, calories burned. Same thing here, just this one's a little bit more of an interactive version. This one goes straight Bluetooth to my phone. This one I can actually look at an online screen and see my heart rate live, while I can't see my heart rate live on my jawbone. But they're both equally efficient as far as being able to track the beats per minute. This one also has an online app. They're both on my phone, so for me, having two just gives me the ability to compare the two. So that way, if my heart rate is showing different on one of these two bands, obviously I know something isn't in sync, something's not accurate. It won't be my heart rate, it'll be one of the activity trackers. So when my activity trackers are in sync and my heart rate is showing up the same on the app as it is on each one, in other words, then I know that they're accurate. Who's joined us? Who's popped on this morning? Julia, how you doing? Glad you could make it. Today's an easy day for me. It's a non-weights day. I only do weights 3 times a week: Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. 6 days a week of cardio. That's 4 miles at about 4 miles an hour power walking. Usually wearing curved shoes. Bottoms are curved, so I have less impact on my heels. I've had plantar fasciitis in both heels. Heels, bone spurs, heel spurs. Believe me, that's nothing fun to wake up to. 3 in the morning, you get up to hit the restroom, and your foot hits the floor, and it feels like somebody took an ice pick and just stuck it right into the bottom of your foot. You want to talk about something to wake you up. In fact, there's only one other thing that pain-wise, that will wake you up more than anything. Even back stuff. But other than that, there's only one other thing that I find is an alarm that I don't like in the middle of the night, and that is my cat retching. If you have ever owned a cat, and you know the sound they make, when they're getting ready to throw up a hairball, especially, it's this horrible retching, sounds like their organs are going to come out of their body sound. And when a cat starts to make that sound at 2 or 3 in the morning, there's nothing that's going to make you open up your eyes and jump up in bed faster than that, especially if it's in the same room, especially if you hear it on the end of your bed. No fun. And I have an 18-year-old tabby cat. 18. And she's getting to the point where she drives just about everybody crazy. Love her to death, but anyhow, if you guys are sitting down, today all I'm going to be doing is stretching and answering your questions for a bit, and then heading out the door to go do my 4 miles. I get very grouchy if I get my mileage in, and I get even more grouchy if I don't get my stretching in. Like 100 million Americans, I suffer permanent lower back pain. If you saw the MRIs and X-rays that were done by the bone surgeons, the back surgeons, you'd understand the cause of my pain. You've read my book. I put in my book exactly what's going on with my back, just so that people understand. 1 out of 3 Americans suffer chronic back pain. 1 out of 3. That's 100 million of us. So you're not alone. If you're one of us, you're not alone. And I'm here to tell you, you can live with it. Managing chronic pain can be done. Just it has to be a balance. That is literally the key. It has to be a balance. Anyhow, if you're sitting down, stand up. I'm going to start doing some stretching. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 8:56 a.m.
My new Echo is connected. My old Echo has been having issues, and I've rebooted the thing and the whole ball of wax, and it's still not quite where it's supposed to be. It's something funky going on. Very strange. Anyhow, get up, join me. Hit me with any questions you've got. Let me back you up, put you up over here just a little so you can keep track of what's going on.
The time is 8:57 a.m.
See how delayed that was? Okay, let's try that again. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 8:57 a.m.
1, 2. That one didn't even respond. Alexa, flash briefing.
Here's your flash briefing. In Things to Try, listening to a playlist and like what you're hearing?
And then it just locks. See that? And then
Find out what's playing by asking me, who is this? And I'll tell you the name of the song, artist, and album.
Alexa,
From history.
Stop. I challenged them both.
From history.com.
Alexa,
Hello, history.
stop. Curious, do you guys have any opinions on our president wanting to put guns with teachers in schools? I'm just curious if your opinion on that is the same as mine. I'm also open to listening to alternate opinions. People who support the idea. I personally think it's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Seriously, I'm a retired Marine. I'm an expert in guns, weapons, machine guns. Well, our version of a machine gun, automatic weapon. My M16 was either semi-automatic or fully automatic, depending upon we simply had a lever to pull. But bottom line is, there's absolutely zero reason that any civilian.
Sorry, something went wrong.
Like I said, Alexa, this one has been having issues today. Something went wrong again, I'm guessing. Anyhow, I'm going to rant about that in a bit when we have a few more folks on. I really do want to hear some opinions on this, you guys. I'm sure that you guys are either still in school or know people who are. Oh my God, and it just happened again at Central Michigan University, just now. 2 have been killed. Suspected shooter still at large after 2 shot dead at Central Michigan University. Casualties are not students, school says. Well, I'm glad they're not students, but I'm sorry, but nobody needs to be freaking shot anywhere. It's insane. What the hell is going on? It's absolutely crazy. We need to get a grip on both who has a hold of these weapons and what kind of weapons they're getting their hands on. Our screening process is absurd. And the fact that people can go out there right now and just go buy assault rifles, it's insane. It's crazy. The only people that need to have access to assault rifles are the people that are protecting us, the law enforcement and the military. Period. The average Joe does not need to have an assault rifle. I certainly don't need to have an assault rifle here in my house. What the heck am I going to do with it? You know, literally, I have zero need for an assault rifle. Okay, you know, a pistol, a handgun, fine, you know, for protection around the house. If I want to go deer hunting, a hunting rifle. But an assault weapon, an assault rifle? No, absolutely no need for me to shoot 30 to 60 bullets a second. Why? What am I going to shoot at 30 to 60 bullets a second? That certainly wouldn't be sporting if I'm out trying to hunt deer. I mean, personally, I don't believe in trophy hunting or game hunting, period. But we can't deny our roots, and if I had the ability, you know, and I have in the past, to eat what I kill, hey, I'll support my family or anybody else's family for that matter. You know, we are, you know, hunter-gatherers. We did that for a couple 100,000 years before we domesticated ourselves, you know, as we, you know, so we call socialized ourselves, if you want to go that far. We could take a 5-year-old child from 200,000 years ago and put them in kindergarten today, right? There would be no difference. You could tell no difference. Human beings have not changed in a couple 100,000 years. You know, our brains grew to about the capacity they are now about 250,000 years ago. Somewhere between 250,000 and 500,000 years ago, we reached the capacity where we are now. Once we begin eating meat, funny enough, protein. You know, the complete proteins in meat, right, are what gave us the ability for our brains to expand and the prefrontal lobes to grow and us to, you know, I guess you could say, become modern versions of the Homo sapiens, you know, that we are now. Bipedalist beings. Who's joined us? Who's come on board this morning? Happy Friday, happy Friday. Just a YouNow person. Well, there's no such thing as just a YouNow person. All YouNow people are welcome. It doesn't matter if you want to identify yourself or not. And if it's anyone who I know, yeah, always here. Always here. Remember, no matter what goes on in your life, and we all face challenges all the time. Good ones, bad ones, you know, yeah, there are good challenges out there as well. But it doesn't matter the challenges we're facing, we all face them. And we all make mistakes, you know, and we are human. You know, none of us are perfect. In fact, the universe itself is imperfect. Wouldn't exist otherwise. Let me explain that, just so you understand the science behind this. When the universe was born, 13.8 billion years ago, you know, Big Bang, you know, whatever you want to call it, I personally think it's part of the brain membrane, part of the multiverse. Universes are constantly being born and constantly dying. It's an ongoing thing. When the universe was born, our universe was born, right? There was a slight imbalance, very slight imbalance between the amount of matter and the amount of antimatter in the universe. Now, we all know, you know, from all the science fiction shows we watch, you know, Star Trek, yada yada, matter and antimatter, when they meet, they annihilate each other, you know, one for one. So when the universe was born, there was just slightly more matter than antimatter, okay? Just slightly more. I mean, like 50.1% to 49.9%, right? Probably even closer than that. But just a very small percentage of the universe that we're in, our universe, has more matter than antimatter. How do we know that? If the universe had been born perfectly balanced, 50-50, 50% matter, 50% antimatter, it would have annihilated itself and gone out of existence as quickly as it started. So the Big Bang would have been the big fizzle all at the same time. But, and this is the big but, because there's slightly more matter in our universe than antimatter, everything that you see across the entire 13.8 billion years, and you know, that's basically what you're looking at from one end of the universe to the other, that's what you're looking at, is all that little itty bitty 0.1% of extra matter as opposed to antimatter. Because remember, there was more antimatter, just a little bit. But that tiny little bit is everything that you see. Every galaxy, every star, every planet, everything that has physical matter, including you and me. Right? So, we're made of matter, not antimatter. However, if, weirdly enough, if this was an antimatter universe, and I'm sure they're out there, you wouldn't really know the difference. If you were made of antimatter in an antimatter universe, everything would pretty much perception-wise be the same to you. Right? And I'm quite certain that there are universes out there that are antimatter. There was a little bit more antimatter than matter when that universe was born. For us, it's the reverse. It was slightly more matter than antimatter when the universe was born. Therefore, we exist. Otherwise, we wouldn't. We wouldn't even be here. Who's joined us? But the point I'm trying to make, hey Anna, how you doing today? Happy Friday. I'm trying to explain, just from general science perspective, how it is that we aren't perfect. We don't need to be perfect. We are perfect with all of our imperfections. The person that's driving the vehicle, the person driving the car, you're just fine, right? Yeah, there's always room to improve, but just keep in mind, trying to be perfect, trying to be, absolutely perfect is insane. Literally, it's insane. We live in an imperfect universe. The universe was born imperfect. Yes, slightly, but just that slight imperfection, right? Just like when you're creating a pearl, right, in that oyster. What is it that causes that pearl to form, right? It's a slight imperfection in the shell itself, the ability for sand and stuff to get inside there and cause that irritation. That's what a pearl is an irritation inside that oyster, right? That's, like something that grows in there. But it's because it has an imperfection. And a beautiful pearl comes out of that. An absolutely gorgeous thing comes out of that. Imperfection itself is awesome. Trying to be perfect, even the most perfect diamond has a flaw somewhere. There is yet to be a diamond out there that doesn't have some sort of occlusion, some minor defect. I don't care how big or how small. Right? Even the Hope Diamond has slight occlusions. So if you're trying to be perfect, if you think you need to be perfect, if you look at yourself in the mirror and go, oh God, I need to be perfect, you don't. Don't even think about it. Perfection is not something that's required, right? Yeah, we can always improve. We can always get better. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? You can always improve. You can always get better. But just remember that you are quite perfect just the way you are. The person that's inside that car that you drive, that physical car that you drive, the person in here, right? You are just fine. Just remember, the entire goal of existing, as far as I'm concerned, at least in this universe, in this plane where we are, getting from point A coming out of the womb to point B, 6 feet under, what goes on in between is up to you, right? You're assigned a vehicle, your body, right? You're the driver, but what you do between A and B, that's all up to you, seriously. And what you do, that's, again, up to you. And you don't have to be perfect. Don't even try to strive for perfection. It's silly. It really is. The French Toast Mafia. I love it. Shooting stars. Hey, you guys, glad you can make it. The French Toast Mafia. I gotta say, you guys are creative. Yeah, I don't know if you're a millennial or a Gen Z. They just identified millennials. I heard it yesterday on CNN, I think it was. Millennials now are actually classified as being born between 1981 and 1996. That's the millennial generation, according to the new definition, I guess you could say. So if you're born between 81 and 96, you're officially considered a millennial. I guess from 87 up till today, I guess you're Gen Zs. Right? And then prior to the millennials were the Gen Xers. So it's interesting how they define our ages. I'm a boomer. Always have been, always will be. But my goal is to make sure that all the millennials and all the Gen Xers, and that's most of the folks on here, you're living to 100 plus, happy, healthy, without wearing diapers and drooling on yourselves. Hey, it's easy to get out of shape. It's easy to become unhealthy. I know. I was there. Right? That's 205 pounds of me. And that's almost 65 pounds heavier than I am now. Prior to that, I was 50 pounds heavier than that, at 252 pounds. Yeah, that was me. Not only was that me, at the time I also had a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. 31 years a cigarette smoker. So I had to take off 110 pounds and get rid of cigarettes, just so that I could make certain I wasn't going to kick it in my sleep before I turned 50. Otherwise, I'm quite certain I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I wouldn't have been around for my kids. I wouldn't have been around to marry off my daughter last year, year before last. I would have been missing out on things. I would not be here right now looking forward to a birthday next month. So, if you are a Generation Z, a millennial, even a Generation X, it doesn't matter, even if you're a boomer like me, bottom line is, if you need to take control of your health, you can do it. It doesn't matter how old you are. For me, I had to be stupid and be unhealthy until I was in my mid-40s and got hit with type 2 diabetes, full-blown type 2 diabetic, right, with chronic back pain. I didn't do myself any favors smoking cigarettes starting at 15 years old and continuing till I was 46. Didn't do myself any favors at all. So I'm here to tell you, though, it doesn't matter how old you are. You can make changes. You can make positive changes. You can lose weight. You don't have to do diets. You don't have to do surgery. You don't have to sign up for meal replacement programs. It's just a matter of doing it logically, slowly, over time. We don't get fat or very fat overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. I didn't get that heavy overnight. Therefore, don't expect to, jump on a quick fix solution and take off all your weight overnight. It's not going to happen. I watch my 600-pound life regularly, simply so that I can see the exact extreme end of the scale, literally. One, I cannot understand how people let themselves get to that point. There has to be a time and a place when their doctor, just like my doctor, said, you better make some changes or you're going to kick it. I was told point blank, right? When I was first diagnosed with diabetes, I was 250 pounds, 252. My BMI was 38. If you don't know what your BMI is, go look it up right now. Just go Google it. Body mass index calculator, BMI scale, whatever. Go look up your body mass index. Look at your height. Look at your weight. Follow it to the box in the middle. That's your BMI. In fact, anybody wants to go find out what their BMI is right now and put it up here on screen, I want to know. I'll tell you exactly where you're at health-wise. If anybody knows what their A1C number is, that's your blood sugar number, the 60-day lab test, the blood test, I'd be very curious. Or do you know you're pre-diabetic? Have you been diagnosed recently as pre-diabetic? Let me know. I'll clue you in exactly as to what's going on with that and what you need to do. Take it from a guy who had to shoot himself in the stomach with a needle for about a year before I was able to get my A1C low enough to go back on oral medication. And I'll be on oral medication the rest of my life. I am a full-blown type 2 diabetic. I have type 2 diabetes mellitus. 1 out of 4 Americans is pre-diabetic right now. Let me repeat that, you guys. 1 out of 4 people in the United States right now have prediabetes. That's 84 million Americans. That number has gone up from 72 million. I did not even start training to become a personal trainer and health coach till about, it was 18, 14, about 3-4 years ago. I became certified as a personal trainer at age 56 because at age 46 I was obese, smoking cigarettes, and just diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at 46. So I had to make some changes to make sure I wasn't going to kick it in my sleep by 50, 55. I was absolutely bound and determined I'm not going to have any toes cut off. I'm not going to lose any fingers. My eyesight isn't going to go. Nothing of what can happen when you don't manage diabetes. I was bound and determined, and I still am, and I am still completely 100% without any diabetic neuropathy anywhere, and no retinopathy. In other words, there are no damage to my eyes as of now, and I plan to keep it that way, because the blood sugars themselves, if you don't manage them with medication, once you're a full-blown type 2 diabetic, if you do not manage it with the medications your doctor puts you on, then neuropathy is going to set in. You're going to start losing circulation, feeling. You'll have numbness. Eventually that turns into a burning pain. And eventually the flesh just dies. You're not getting any blood supply to it. Or if the blood supply you're getting to it is poisoned, too much blood sugar, your pancreas can only create enough blood sugar to cover a certain amount of food that you put in your body. If you're putting in way too much food, even if it's not candy or cakes, if anything that's a carbohydrate turns into a sugar. Now, any food that you eat too much of is either going to turn into a fat or a sugar, more than likely, 9 times out of 10. So overeating, and that comes down to portion sizes more than anything, overeating is the single largest cause that we have an obesity epidemic in America right now. Portion sizes, overeating. And then inactivity, being sedentary, never getting up, not moving. People work on the job, they sit down all day. People, once they get home from work, they sit down all night. People are not doing regular activities that get their heart rate where it needs to be healthy. It's very simple. Leading a balanced life, being healthy, requires a formula. And we know the formula. 75% of your concentration should be on your diet, your nutrition. And initially, I don't care if you're eating junk food or health food. If you're eating too much food, you're going to be gaining weight. Doesn't matter. Most of us are eating junk food, I know. I'm a junk food junkie myself. But the bottom line is it comes down to the numbers. It is seriously a numbers game. Every 3,500 calories that you consume, that you don't burn off in some form of activity or exercise, turns into 1 pound of fat. Let me repeat that. Every 3,500 calories that you consume, and I don't care if it's health food, junk food, I don't care what it is. If you're putting in more calories, 3,500 more calories than your body is burning off, that will turn into a pound of fat. Okay? Conversely, if you're burning off 3,500 calories more, whether it's in a day, a week, or a month, right, you're taking off a pound of fat. It's a simple formula. It really is. So 75% of your concentration on being healthy has to be on your diet, has to be on what's going in your face. Okay? But 5%, and this is an important 25%, 25% of the formula for being healthy requires some form of activities. And yeah, I'll say the E word, exercise. It's a simple formula there as well. We know for people that are already at the proper BMI, right? Before I say this, let me say hi, whoever's joined us. Oh, hey Karina, how's it going? Trevor, glad you could make it. you guys have any questions or comments on any of this, or if anybody wants to co-host or co-broadcast today, I'd love to hear stories. Seriously, you guys, I can sit here and talk at you about health issues all day long, right? Literally. But having you live, I'd rather you guys were sitting right here in front of me in chairs right now, to be honest, so I could look in your eyes, right? And see you. You know, I prefer to have people live. I do a lot of public speaking, and for me, this is my give back to you guys. If I can answer any questions on health issues, if you're facing any health challenges right now, if you've recently been diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, and 1 out of 4 people are right now in America, 2 out of 3 Americans need to lose weight right now. 2 out of 3 are either there where I was, you know, overweight, or before that, obese, like I was, 252 pounds. Right now, 2 out of 3 Americans are in the position where I was. 2 out of 3, 66%. So I know some of you watching have to be in that position as well. I understand. Been there, done that. That's what tells me that I can tell you, you can get better. You don't have to do these stupid diet programs. You don't have to go in for bariatric surgery or lap band. You don't have to do the meal replacement programs or join Weight Watchers or listen to Marie Osmond hawk that same 50 pounds that she lost 20 years ago. Right? She's been selling those Nutrisystem programs now for, I think, about close to 20 years. And the same objective and the same goal for all of this stuff you see on TV and all of these programs is the exact same thing, to get you into a negative energy balance instead of a positive energy balance. That same 3,500 calories that I'm talking about that you consume that turns into a pound of fat, or that you burn off that takes off a pound of fat. Either way, their goal, any goal, every goal should be to get you at a point where you're burning more calories than you're consuming. And I don't care if it's over a week, a month, 2 months. The bottom line is, if you're in a positive energy balance, that means you're putting on weight. That's simple. I don't care if it's a pound a day or a pound a month. Pound a day obviously is insane. That's 365 pounds in a year. Nobody's putting on a pound a day. But, and this is a big but, literally, I'm finding people on average are putting on a pound about every 2 weeks. Right now, that's the average that I'm running into. A pound every 2 weeks. That is 26 pounds in a year. That's on average. Some are putting on 10, 12, 15 pounds in a year. Some are really going to town and putting on a pound a week. And how do I know? Because the people that I'm working with, my clients, and people that I'm working with now here on YouNow, and we've done a couple weeks of this now, we're doing a food diary. We're keeping a food log of everything that's being consumed, right? And an activity log to go with it. So for a whole 7 days, we're able to figure out, all right, here's all the calories, right? Here's the amount of calories going in every day, and we add it up for the week. You can extrapolate that to the month and for a year, right? So you can actually figure out how much, if you're gaining weight, how much you'll be putting on in a year based on currently what you're eating and consuming and your activity levels. Because what I'll do is, at the end of that week, we'll go over those calories. We'll go over what is on that food diary and the activities, because the activities let me, subtract a certain number of calories from what was consumed that day. So let's just do a for instance. A 200-pound person, right? Just the average 200-pound person will need about 1,900 calories a day to maintain 200-pound weight, right? Now, we're not talking about their BMI. Let's just say their BMI is normal, okay? Let's just say they've got a BMI of 22, right? So their normal BMI, so by height and weight, that 200-pound person is properly at their proper weight, right? Proper height, weight, by being based on their body mass index. And again, if you don't know it, go Google it right now. Go look at your BMI calculator, body mass index calculator. Look at the height, the weight, In the box, follow it up there. It'll tell you exactly what your BMI is. Anybody wants to share with me right now? One, I'll give you kudos. Happy duty kudos. In fact, I'll even fan you and go put some money on your page just for participating. Stefan, how's it going? Tequila. 1987, huh? 87 was a good year. Yep. The 80s were awesome, period. Just plain awesome. Strange in some ways, but awesome. I went through my 20s in the 80s, so for me it was awesome. Anyhow, hit me up if you have any questions. That's what the category is. But until then, I'm going to at least keep talking to you about health issues. And we were talking about body mass index and how a 200-pound person requires 1,900 calories just to maintain a 200-pound frame, right? Let's round it up. Let's say a 200-pound person requires 2,000 calories a day. Let's just round it up, okay? So over a week, a 200-pound person who wants to stay at 200 pounds, right, will consume 14,000 calories. That's for a week. 2,000 calories a day for 7 days, 14,000 calories for a 200-pound person who's at the weight they need to be. The BMI is normal, just to maintain 200 pounds, okay? So if that 200-pound person consumed 17,500 calories that week, that's 3,500 calories more than they needed. And if they're sedentary, as most Americans are right now, that is not going to turn into a pound of muscle. If you're doing weightlifting, if you're actually working in an exercise program, maybe that I put together for you as an athlete or someone who's preparing for events like mountain climbing, you may be wanting to put on some muscle, maybe wanting to put on some weight. But in general, that person, that 200-pound person that consumed 17,500 calories last week, instead of the 14,000 they need, only 14,000 they need, that person put on an extra pound that week. That 200-pound person is now a 201-pound person because of the 3,500 calories additional they consumed, but they didn't burn off in either some kind of activity. Now, power walking, swimming, bicycling, ping pong, tennis, I don't care, whatever gets you off your butt. I ain't saying go buy a gym membership. I bought a 3-year membership and went twice. Hey, I figured out I'm not the guy that likes to go to the gym, especially when I was 250 pounds. Even when I was 200 pounds, I still didn't feel comfortable going into the gym. I figured out I had to do whatever I was going to do out of my house. And that basically was the same thing you got to do. You got to figure out what's going to get you off your butt and get you moving. Period. And we'll talk about that later. So, 200-pound person needs, let's say, 2,000 calories a day. It's about 1,900 actually, but rounding it up. So 14,000 calories in a week for that 200-pound person. A 150-pound person, which is close to what I am, you need about 1,450 calories a day to maintain that weight. Again, for every 3,500 calories additional in your diet, whether it's per day, per week, or even per month, that's an additional pound. So if you're sitting over there and one of you has to lose 30 pounds, 50 pounds, or like me, 110 pounds, right? It doesn't matter where you start. You have to start. Baby steps, small steps. You got to start someplace. Don't wait till you get a perceived health threat, till you get nailed with something like me, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol levels, which could also indicate things like coronary arterial disease. You can have fatty liver. I mean, once the visceral fat starts to accumulate around your organs, that's the worst. I mean, yeah, the subcutaneous fat and is, the general fat, that is unhealthy naturally. But the visceral fat, the fat that clings around your heart and your liver and your other internal organs, that is really what's going to do a lot of damage. That's what mess up your endocrine system. That's going to really mess up your liver especially. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, is on the rise and has been for several years. Liver transplants on the rise. Again, we have an obesity epidemic right now. And once again, the United States leads the freaking world. We have led the world in many things over many years, semper fi. But in this particular instance, we are not setting a shining example. Well, let's put it this way. 1 out of 5 people on the planet are either overweight or obese. 20% of the global population. 20%. Okay? 1 out of 5. In America, 2 out of 3 people are either overweight or obese right now. 2 out of 3. 66%. 66% of Americans are where I was right now, either overweight or obese. 2/3. Out of 324 million Americans, we're talking about well over 200 million, about 216 million people are currently needing to lose weight, are currently in a positive energy balance. They're currently packing on additional 3,500 calories, whether it's per week or every other week or per month, right? You can probably figure out yourself if you weighed 200 pounds last year and you weigh 215 pounds this year, you put on 15 pounds over 12 months. Pretty simple to figure out. Right? If you are doing what you should be doing and getting an annual physical and getting all of your labs done, then your doctor should also be telling you your BMI is not normal. Your BMI is out of range. You need to get your BMI in order. Right? That's your body mass index based on your height and weight. Your A1C is out of whack. Your blood sugars aren't normal. You're pre-diabetic. 84 million Americans are pre-diabetic right now. And I can tell you, I'm almost convinced most of them are in the obese range, where I was at 252 pounds. My BMI used to be 38. It's now 22, 21, 22. So healthy is anywhere between 18.5 and 25. That's healthy range for body mass index. Go find out. See what your BMI is. Go look it up right now. In fact, I think I'll print out the calculator and keep it handy. Hey, Kingstar, how's it going? Happy Friday, you guys. So hit me up. Questions. Any questions. Health related, non-health related, personal training related, it doesn't matter. Those of you who've read my book, and I think I see at least 1 or 2 people on here that I've already sent copies to. Those of you who've read my book, you know that there's 80 chapters. 80 chapters in here on pretty much any topic that you would like to cover. Pick something interesting. Go look it up on Amazon, Pushing Double Nickels. You can look at the first 30, 40 pages for free. Pick any one of the 80 chapters and I'll talk about it. Doesn't matter. Any of them. Otherwise, I'm going to rant again about getting off your butts and doing something. Like I was saying, being balanced, being healthy. All right. 75% your nutrition, what's going in your face. 25% your activity levels, your exercise, doing something other than being sedentary and sitting around all the time. Right? And the nutrition side is key. 75% of being healthy is on the nutrition side. But we can't ignore the activity levels. We cannot ignore the E word, exercise. If you're already at weight, if your weight is where it needs to be, in other words, if your body mass index is currently between 18.5 and 25, that's your BMI. If that's your current BMI, what I need from you is 30 minutes of medium intensity exercise 5 times a week. 30 minutes, 5 times a week. 150 minutes, right? So Monday through Friday, if you will, 30 minutes to get out and either do some power walking, jogging, bicycling, tennis, swimming. I don't care what you do that gets you off your butt and moving to the point where you have medium intensity, at least medium intensity cardio going on. Average resting heart rate is anywhere between 60 and 100 beats a minute. Right? The more efficient your heart is working, the better conditioned your heart is. Remember, it is a muscle. Right? All muscles need to be worked. But the more efficient that muscle works, the lower your resting heart rate is normally. Right? My RHR is 58, just so you know. Same as my age. So if you have a resting heart rate, as long as it's below 100, fine, it's normal. I worry people that have any heart rates over 80, to be perfectly honest with you. Normally, if your resting heart rate is between 80 and 100, your heart is nowhere near as conditioned, right, as it should be. Yeah, that muscle needs some exercise normally. That also probably means you're carrying extra weight and your BMI is not in order. If your BMI is between 25 and 30, you're overweight. If your BMI is over 30, you're obese. If you're over 35, you're very obese. If your BMI is up over 40, then we're starting to talk about the folks who are on that My 600 Pound Life show. At the point, which point your heart's probably about ready to explode anyway. 2 people just recently passed away during the filming of that show. One just this last week was on the news. His first name was Robert. I won't say his last name. But he was 842 pounds. 842 pounds. How do we get to that? How does anybody get to that? Obviously, you have to have an enabler, right? Somebody who will allow them to continue to get bigger and bigger beyond the point where they can no longer do it themselves. At 842 pounds, how is anybody going to be able to support their own weight? The physical body frame itself is going to give up. And his heart gave out, and as to be expected. I mean, I would imagine his heart was probably 4 times larger than normal because of that. So, again, who you are is not based on your physical form, right? Who you are is the driver inside the vehicle. The human body is simply your vehicle with 2 feet, very much like your vehicle that's out in your car or out in your garage or out at the curb that's got 4 tires. It has to be maintained. It has to be used. Any engine has to be run in order to stay lubricated. You don't want your seals to dry out and blow an engine seal. Same thing with your heart, right? You have to exercise it. It's very much, this is your engine in your body, your transmission or your legs, your tires or your feet, right? The computer in your car is the same as the computer inside your head, right? And you're the one looking out the windshield, literally. So when you look in the mirror every day, just remember, yeah, I'm the driver, right? This is my vehicle. I get to change it any way I want. That's the nice thing about the human body. It's malleable. We can make it any way we want. I used to drive a great big old beat down old, van. That was me as a van. 252 pound van whose engine was ready to give out. My seals were getting dried. I was a very out of shape van, let's put it that way. But I also decided that I'd rather have a muscle car, And we literally have that choice. We do. We have that choice. And I don't care how old you are. It's easier the younger you are, but I don't care if you're 20 or 80. Right? If you need to lose weight and get in shape, you can do it. I can take a 90-year-old man, 90-year-old woman, and put on a little bit of muscle on them. Make them a little bit more balanced. Give them a little bit more range of motion. Make sure that they have a better grasp of their center of gravity. Right? It doesn't matter how old you are, literally. Right? You can start making positive changes physically to your physical form anytime you want. You want to trade in your old broken down minivan for a sports car or a muscle car, or do it. Sure, it takes time, it takes effort, but it's worth it. You want to be around for 100 years? I have yet to meet somebody who tells me that, I'm happy living to 50 and having a heart attack and dying. I have yet to meet one person to tell me that. Everybody wants to live as long as possible. Everybody. Nobody tells me otherwise. But I don't see people putting in the kind of effort that's required so that they can maintain themselves long enough to achieve that goal. Think about it. Every car that comes off the factory line, okay, requires minimum amounts of maintenance just to keep running. You got to make sure the tires don't go bald. You got to make sure the belts don't snap or break and get dried. You got to make sure you lube, oil, and filter it. You've got to do a tune-up on it regularly, and you have to run that engine. Literally, first off, you've got to break it in. Engines need to be run, but then they also need to be run regularly. If that engine isn't run regularly, it's going to fail one time when you go to turn it on. You're going to blow a seal, you blow a gasket, everything. And bottom line is, you've got to run the engine. You've got to run the car for it to stay healthy, the vehicle to stay healthy, for it to last as long as you want it to. Somebody have a question or comment here? I don't want to miss any. That funky, hang on. That funky banana. Oh, Arthur, talk to my hand. Right back at you. What is this one, though? You guys are so creative, I swear. That funky banana. All right, well, funky bananas are cool, too. Anyhow, you guys, I'm here to answer any questions you have. They don't have to be on health issues. It doesn't have to be on personal training issues. Anything. Business related, personal related. In fact, I'd be curious if any of you guys support President Trump's idea to arm teachers in classrooms. Personally, I think it's the dumbest, stupidest idea I have ever heard. And I'm a retired Marine, so I'm allowed to have that opinion. I'm a weapons expert, infantry. But I also did rockets, mortars, and explosives. But I qualified expert with my 45 and my M16. So I've done enough hunting in my day. I always eat what I kill. I don't believe in game hunting or trophy hunting. But for me, I see absolutely no reason the average Joe should have an assault rifle. Absolutely zero reason. All right, handgun for home protection, fine. All right, hunting rifle, just a regular hunting rifle to go deer hunting, support the family, feed the family, fine. But there's zero reason anybody outside of law enforcement or military has a need to have an assault rifle. Why? 30 to 60 bullets a second. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's absurd. And absolutely no reason why the average Joe needs to have an assault rifle. One, we have to strengthen our background checks. I mean, the NICS system, which is the nationwide system, that's got to be improved. 100%. Anybody that has input, I don't care if it's teachers, parents, right, clergy, anybody that has input on something that somebody needs to know or keep an eye on. We need to have the ability to put input into that system, right? All need to be able to put into that system, and it needs to be shared with everybody. So anybody that even goes in to apply to get a gun, they come up in that system, right? Nationwide, coast to coast. 2, we're the only nation on this planet that allows people to go buy assault rifles. Why? We have zero need for assault rifles for the average Joe. Hunting rifle, fine. Handguns, fine. I support the Second Amendment. In fact, if we were to take the Second Amendment literally, and 1791, remember that's when our founding fathers put the Second Amendment into place, and the other ones at the time, but 1791. In 1791, the guns that were available were muskets, cap and ball pistols. Fine. You want to get literal about supporting the Second Amendment there, NRA, then fine. Every home gets a musket. Every home gets a cap, ball, and pistol. At least every red-blooded American citizen over 18, let's say, who wants to have a gun and support the Second Amendment. Fine. Let's do it the way the Founding Fathers originally had it in mind. Every house that has a qualified person gets a musket or cap and ball pistol. Right? Yeah. Pop into your local shopping center with your musket. You fire one round and then you take about a minute or two to load everything up to fire it again. I'm all, okay, fine. I support that 100%. I mean, if we're really going to talk stupidly about this, instead of being realistic about it in 2018, right, I guarantee you our founding fathers would have been horrified to see an AR-15 in an 18-year-old's hands. Horrified. I guarantee they would have rethought that Second Amendment or rewritten it in such a manner so that those were not included. Right? Believe me, assault rifles and the horrors that are happening because of them were not something that our founding fathers even considered. Remember the Gatling gun. The Gatling gun, the original machine gun, didn't even come out for another 80 years. 70, 80 years from when the Second Amendment came out. There were no automatic weapons of any sort, right, in 1791, period. Right? Everything was single shot, single fire, have to reload. Everything. There were no cartridges or anything along those lines. There were no breeches to load ammunition in. Right? It was single shot weapons. That's what it was. So there would have been absolutely zero opportunity for any kind of mass murders to happen when the Second Amendment was put into place. It was not possible. It wasn't even possible for 7, 8 decades after that, and that was the Gatling gun. And politicians were smart enough so that in 1931 the machine gun was outlawed. Hello. So now we have something called an assault rifle. And because it fires differently from a machine gun, you remember the old Tommy gun? Just because it fires different with, instead of a belt-fed ammunition, it's got cartridges. That's how they differentiate it and say, oh, it's not a machine gun. It's an assault rifle. It's worse. It's worse. The worst Tommy gun. Yeah, the Valentine's Day Massacre of 34 was done using Tommy guns. But today, the assault rifles we have today, they're insane. There's no need, and I'll say it again till I turn blue in the face, there is no need for the average Joe to have an assault rifle. AR-15, AK-47, M16 automatic, anything, an Uzi. These are not weapons that your average person even would use to go deer hunting. Right? And certainly nothing you're going to need to defend your home. Right? I don't care how bad the NRA claims that we're going to be prying all the guns out of everybody's hands. That's stupid. Realize that right now, out of 324 million Americans, that there's nearly a gun for every single person in the United States? Every man, woman, and child, there's a gun out there for every single one of them. And I hate to count how many assault rifles are out there now, already, and they're still being sold. The NRA isn't just an organization that supports guns. The NRA is an organization that supports violence. They have old attitudes. These are old school. These are good old boys. They have absolutely no care about the average citizen today. They do not care. For the NRA, it all comes down to money. That's exactly what it comes down to. If we can cut off all their sources of funding, right, they're gone. Right? If we can shut them out in Washington, shut out the NRA lobby, right, and close off all the money going to the politicians, they're gone. But that's not what's happening. All of the Republican politicians are pretty much in the pocket of the NRA. Trump got $30 million from the NRA. $30 million to help make him president. They spent about $19 million on anti-Hillary ads and about $10 million thereabouts on pro-Trump ads. Almost $30 million from the NRA. Why do you think he's supporting them so hard? Even though he goes on air and does that meeting and says, oh, we're going to change this and that, and then backs it off the very next day. Once the NRA gets in his ear and says, you can't do that. We aren't going to support that. Oh, okay. The man is a mental midget and a moron. Just to believe that you're going to take a handgun, give it to a teacher, even with training, and expect that they're going to take on somebody with an assault rifle and win? And remember, this is the same guy, right, who said that he would have run in there and gone after the gunman even if he wasn't armed. Does anybody really believe that? Anybody? Come on. He won't even let anybody tee off in front of him on the golf course. Never mind go defend students with his bare hands against an assault rifle. Who does he think he's kidding? Seriously. We already know he's a pathological liar. You can go Google the number of lies he's told just since he's been in office. Right? When you are as narcissistic as he is, and he's a pathological narcissistic, right? The only person that he thinks about is himself, first and foremost, above kids, above family, above country, above anything. He does not put anything or anyone above his immediate needs and his immediate thoughts about himself. That's why he's always concerned about his ratings, his numbers, how he looks. You know, it always comes back to him, right? Always. He doesn't care about anybody else. It all comes back to him, which is why, instead of doing something smart, getting rid of assault rifles, period. Strengthening background checks. I think that's going to happen, period. Thank God. Instead of doing logical things and smart things, right? Saying we have to harden our schools. That's a quote. We have to harden our schools. What, is he going to turn our schools into military fortresses? What about the shopping centers, the synagogues, the churches, the temples, the mosques, the concert fields, the games, the sports centers, the arenas? These guys aren't just going to schools. They're going everywhere. Assault rifles aren't just being used in schools. That just happens to be the places where it absolutely horrifies us the most. Sandy Hook, that still hurts me just to think about it. The fact that we haven't done anything since Columbine. Come on, you guys. I'm personally convinced it's you Gen Zs and you millennials that are going to make the difference this year. I'm not kidding. Anybody 18 plus who's not registered to go vote, please do so, right? Especially if you're going to be a Democrat. Just kidding. I've been a lifelong Democrat, I'll admit it, and I'll be that way till the day I die. For me, it's more about supporting everybody, as opposed to just a few. Right? I'm not an elitist. I'm more along the lines of everybody is equal. Bottom line, everybody needs to be happy. I believe in universal health care. Right? I think that everybody should be under, the Medicare. Everybody should be under Medicare. Medicare for 324 million, as far as I'm concerned. Right? I'm in the Bernie Sanders camp on this one. For me, everybody deserves equal care. Everybody. I don't care who you are. But nobody has a need to carry an assault rifle, right? Except law enforcement or military. Period. Anybody differ with me? I'd like to know. Does anybody agree with me? I'd like to know. How about a thumbs up, you guys? Is anybody talking about it at their work or their schools right now? Because remember, you're all affected on this. Every one of you. If not directly, then you know someone who is. Right? Last thing that anyone wants to happen is what's going on right now at Central Michigan University. Another gun being fired. Well, I can't take this right now. I will have to send it away and answer it later, because it would be rude to answer my phone while you guys are on here. Anyhow, you guys, I will be heading out here shortly. I've got to go get my mileage done. I need to walk the walk as much as I talk the talk with regards to health issues. For me, I do weights 3 times a week, and I do power walking 6 times a week, 4 miles a day. Just around 25 miles a week. That's so that I can keep my heart in condition. Right? I certainly couldn't expect you guys to do things I'm not willing to do myself. If I'm not willing to watch what I eat, at least to some degree. I still eat junk food. Right? Cakes, cookies, burgers, fried chicken, meatloaf. You know, I still enjoy. But I know at the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the year, if I have burned more calories than I have consumed, or at least balanced it out, I'm not going to be gaining weight. And if I keep up the activity levels that I do, I'm also going to stay fairly toned. Right? And I can do this indefinitely. And so can you. And you can start doing these things anytime. For me, and let me get up in your face kind of close for this, I want you guys to understand something. And this is important. Every night, 90,000 people go to sleep and don't wake up the next day. 90,000 people, thereabouts. We lose 160,000 people a day, period, just in general. Those are the numbers. A certain number are born, a certain number are die. Right? It goes up, it goes down. But every single night, 90,000 people go to sleep and their eyes don't open in the morning. Multiple reasons. The leading cause of death in America is still coronary arterial disease, CAD. That's where all the plaque builds up inside your artery walls and causes heart attacks. And if it builds up in the main artery, what we call the widowmaker, most heart attacks that happen there, they're not survivable. So somebody that sits around all day and is heavy or overweight and never exercises and has a dream that night that spikes their heart rate up to 130, 140 beats a minute, sometimes the heart just is not going to say, hey, I'm not going to take this. I'm not used to this during the day. You never worked me during the day. So how do you expect to be effective at night when a monster's chasing you? Because when you're dreaming, your heart rate's going to be the exact same rate as it is during if you were awake and being active. Your body might be frozen, but your heart isn't. So just a heads up, 90,000 people will go to sleep tonight and they won't wake up tomorrow morning. If your eyes open up in the morning, right, and that's the big F, obviously, but when they open up, because I'm thinking positively for all you guys, right, that means that you're still in the game. You're still at bat. You still have the opportunity to make sure that your eyes open up the next morning, and the morning after that, and the morning after that. Because the choice comes down to you. It really does come down to your choice. It's up to you. And you're the only one who can make that determination. The best personal trainer on the planet can't get in your face and force you to want to live longer. That's something you want to do. That's something that's got to be inside your head, inside your heart. You know. If you need to make changes, you know. You may need to make changes. I don't have to be in front of you and say, you got to lose weight, you got to get in shape. Right? You know. I don't have to tell you. Hey, Ahmad, how's it going? Double C, Fredo, J-Li, Oksana, I'm glad you guys could make it. Right? In your face. You guys are real creative. I gotta give you. Who is you? Yeah, I won't repeat that. But anyhow, I'm just telling you guys, as long as your eyes open in the morning, as long as you wake up, literally, from then on, everything is gravy. I mean, the glass is half full. I mean, just the fact that your eyes opened up means you beat 90,000 other people every single morning. Because every single night, 90,000 people will go to sleep, get under their covers, get all comfy cozy, and go to sleep. And the next morning, they will no longer be with us. That's just the way it is right now. And until we start getting control of this obesity epidemic, coronary arterial disease is still going to be the leading cause of death in America and the most preventable. So, if you're in a position where you need to lose weight, I'm telling you now, you don't have to do diet plans and surgeries. It doesn't have to be something drastic. Don't look for short-term fixes. Right? You don't get heavy overnight. I didn't get to 252 pounds. I didn't look like this, you guys. I didn't take off 110 pounds overnight either. So it's slow over time, but you got to start sometime, right? Really, small steps, baby steps. But just the fact that you wake up every day means you're still in the game. You still have the opportunity. Right? Let's do something about it. Okay? If you need to reach out to me, it's personaltrainingwithbrad.com. That's www.personaltrainingwithbrad.com. And I'll Skype with you. You don't even have to leave your house, and we'll figure out how to get you on the losing weight train. If you smoke cigarettes this year, again, I'm helping people quit for free. So you just need to reach out to me, and I'll Skype with you, and we'll put together a 90-day plan to get you off the tobacco. I don't care if you're vaping. Tobacco is tobacco, and you need to get rid of it, period. So get up, get moving. If you work, if you sit on the job, get up every 30 minutes and stretch. Save your lower back. Right? If you're sedentary all the time, find a way. Find something you like to do. Ping pong, tennis, swimming, bicycling, walking. I don't care what you do. Bowling, anything. Just get off your butt and get moving. And then lastly, just remember, you're the driver. You don't identify yourself strictly by the physical form, by the body that you're in, or anyone else for that matter. Remember, you can look at a car, and you can look at a Ford Taurus. A lot of people drive Fords, but there's no way you're going to know who the driver is until you actually meet the driver, get to know the driver. So trying to figure out who the driver is just by looking at the car is silly. Right? Everybody needs to have equal respect. You got to give everybody the equal amount of opportunity to show their character. Right? Don't try to judge somebody just based on their appearance. Skinny, heavy, fat, I don't care, based on their religion, based on anything other than the content of their character, how they treat themselves, how they treat their friends and their family, how they treat the community. You will know over time whether or not somebody's heart is good. But trying to determine that right off the bat, just looking at them, you can't do it. It's not possible. So remember, every single baby is born exactly the same, innocent and 100% deserving of the equal respect. I don't care where on the planet they're born. And that baby turns into people like you. And you guys deserve equal respect. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what your sex is, what your religion is, what your sexual preferences are. They're all irrelevant. Right? The driver who's in the vehicle, right, that's the person who we need to look out for and respect. So get out there and be nice to a stranger today. Common courtesy goes a long way. A please, a thank you, a yes sir, a no sir. You'd be amazed at how much just a little bit of common courtesy and friendliness can go. A smile is a whole lot better to share, believe me. So, when you wake up tomorrow morning, first thing I want you to do is go, hey, Coach Brad said that I have the opportunity because I'm still in the game, and I just beat 90,000 people right off the bat. So the glass is half full. So when you get up and you get out of bed tomorrow morning, I want you to be happy about it. Think about it positively. Sure, we all wake up with issues. I wake up with back pain every single day, and I will the rest of my life. I wake up with diabetes every day, and will the rest of my life. But that's not going to deter me. And I don't expect your challenges, if you will, to deter you. Like I said, as long as your eyes open up tomorrow morning, you're already, the glass is half full. From that point on, everything is gravy. So get up, get moving, do something positive for yourself. Do something positive for your family, do something positive for your friends. Just the fact that you're alive, appreciate that, and get up, move. Any questions before I get going, you guys? Y'all have been way too easy on me today. Seriously. I really like it when somebody challenges me with questions or shares opinions. I hope you guys have at least learned a little something today other than my opinions. If you haven't fanned me, I'd appreciate you doing it now. I will be back on tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be stretching and weights as well as answering your questions again. Then starting on Monday, we're doing a new food diary program. So anybody that wants to start taking control of their weight and looking at how they can turn their positive energy balance, gaining weight, into negative energy balance, losing weight, join me on Monday, because a whole new group of you, and anybody who wants to participate is welcome. Anybody that wants to participate in the food diary for a week, the food and activity log, I should say, we're going to start on Monday. And hopefully I'll get a few more people losing some weight, like I've got a few folks losing weight right now off of this platform. So fan me up. That way you'll know when I'm back on. All of these are saved over to my Tumblr and to my YouTube accounts. So if anybody ever wants to go back and review, especially if they want to go back and look at some of the numbers I'm talking about, and I challenge any of you guys to go Google anything that I've told you today. Seriously, go Google the numbers I've about with the pre-diabetics and the obesity epidemic, right? We may be losing 175 people a day right now to the opioid epidemic, and that's horrible, but we're losing 1,500 people a day to the obesity epidemic and the diabetes and other related issues that are coming from that. So let's not ignore reality, gang. Anyhow, you wake up tomorrow morning, your eyes open up, guess what? I want a smile on your face and get out of bed, because that means that you've got the opportunity to get up and get at bat, to make positive changes, to do things that are going to be good for you and your family, and stay and hopefully keep you around a long time. I appreciate you spending the time with me today. My goal this year is to spend as much time with you guys as possible. Hopefully every one of you millennials and Gen Xers and Gen Zers out there are going to be living to 100 plus without wearing diapers and drooling on yourselves. And if I can help you get there, I plan to do it. So you guys have a great day.